Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Juan Morales, Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ service here at GE Appliances. It is my pleasure to be with each and every one of you, and we welcome you to this YouTube live session in which we will demonstrate how to utilize the SmartHQ service app to help you diagnose some very common dishwasher symptoms. So, of course, I have my GE Profile dishwasher here ready to go, and we will be demonstrating various different functions of the applications and features that you can leverage to help you diagnose, troubleshoot, and ultimately service GE appliances, GE dishwashers in this particular case. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me show you what we're going to be demonstrating today. First of all, we're going to do a side-by-side view where we're going to show the dishwasher. We can also open it up and show you the internal workings of it. So you'll be able to see the heating element, the spray arms, all of that stuff. And of course, on the iPad, we'll be opening up the application. All right, my friends. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and quickly go back to our website over here and just share with you the information about our website. So smarthqservice.com, that is where you can find all the information related to this application. And of course, the number you can reach us at is 502-714-2029. Okay, my friends. That being said, we have a lot of material to cover, so I want to quickly jump right into it. And the first thing I want to do is just mention our mission statement, which is to leverage existing GE appliance service software systems and documentation to deliver efficiency gains to service technicians through an easy-to-use mobile portal. And my friends, this is very important that you understand this application has been utilized by our GE factory service technicians for many, many years, right? I think a little bit over a decade. So it is a robust, proven system. You're going to see it in action today. You're going to see what the capabilities of the app are. But now we are making it available to you out there so that you can have the same advantage that our GE factory service technicians have. All right. So let's go over the agenda very quickly. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the dishes not drying, right? That's a very common complaint that we get out in the field where the customer will state that the dishes are not coming out dry, they're coming out wet. And many times, you know that has nothing to do with the unit. It has to do with maybe the way the customer is using the dishwasher. So for that reason, we're going to do a quick recap of how to use the cycle history feature to help you understand how the customer has been using the dishwasher and to see if there's anything that they could have done better to make sure the dishes come out dry. We're also going to activate individual components using the operate loads feature, and we can monitor them via the watch box. And of course, we can test the heater because we want to make sure that that heating element is working properly so that it can dry the dishes. The second topic will be the dishes coming out dirty. And of course, again, this is another complaint that we get that sometimes it's not related to the dishwasher being defective, but rather some way that the customer is using it. But regardless, we're going to show you how to activate components using the operate loads feature. And again, we're going to monitor them with the watch box. We're also going to do a thorough test of the circulation pump and diverter. Okay, so we're gonna test that as well. And then the last topic for today will be the dishwasher not draining. Now, you know very well that there's various different ways that various different things that can cause a dishwasher not to drain. And of course, I'll be sharing based on my experience in the field some of those tips. But there are instances in which there is a problem with the dishwasher and you have to be able to troubleshoot it. One case that I'll share with you today is perhaps an issue with the main board. And I'll show you how to troubleshoot it. We're going to find the information right here on the SmartHQ service application. Okay, my friends? So that being said, let's go ahead and quickly move on to our first topic. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the SmartHQ service diagnostic system for those of you that perhaps may not have seen how this functions. So at the heart of the system is, of course, the Bluetooth module, and that is going to connect to the appliance simply using a standard RJ45 cable. So you will find on dishwashers the Ethernet port located behind the toe kick plate. So just remove that and the port is right there. And once you connect, you can easily communicate with the dishwasher. So in this case, the cartoon character is asking, how's your circulation pump doing? The dishwasher is saying it's running great, thanks. And essentially, that's what you will be able to do. Communicate with the dishwasher through your smart device, tablet, mobile device, whatever the case may be. Now, one thing about the the mobile device that you can use with SmartHQ service is that this app works with both Android and iOS devices. And that is a beautiful thing because that means you don't have to go out there and purchase additional hardware. If you're an iPhone user, you can continue to use your iPhone. If you're an Android tablet user, you can use an Android tablet or Android mobile device. We make it compatible for both operating systems. So that's a great thing. All right. So in addition to having being able to do real-time diagnostics, you also have access to cloud-based service documentation. And what this documentation gives you is access to things like wiring diagrams, as you can see over here, or service bulletins, mini manuals, service manuals, and much, much more. Okay, my friends. So this is, again, a robust system that allows you to diagnose, but also it gives you information related to the appliance right then and there on your mobile device. All right, moving on to the first topic. Again, the dishes coming out wet. This is probably one of the most common service calls we get on dishwashers. And again, a lot of the times it has nothing to do with the appliance being defective and everything to do with how the customer used it. But the problem is that for you to know for certain that perhaps the customer, selected a cycle that doesn't dry the dishes that well, or maybe they just didn't select a dry cycle at all. You would either have to ask the customer, and they would have to tell you the truth, right? Oh yeah, I used a shorter cycle or something along those lines. But sometimes that can be challenging, and of course, if you just assume and guess, that's not very good. But with the SmartHQ service app, you have the ability to open up the cycle history, and this is a feature built right into the app, which will give you how the customer used the dishwasher during the last 5 cycles. Okay, so as we can see over here, we have that red line that indicates the cycle duration time in minutes. And if we look closer at the data, okay, because you can access the data, you will see that this machine has been operated 27 times, all right, so 27 cycles. So this is a relatively new machine. It should be working fine for all intents and purposes. And we can see cycle number 23, 24, 25, and 26. The customer selected the auto cycle, and it ran for about 180 to 185 minutes on average, right? But cycle number 27 only ran for 60 minutes, and the reason for that is because the customer selected the express cycle. Now, this is a key to your success, my friends, because having this information, okay, being armed with this information with you, being able to show this tangible data, will enable you to explain to your customer why the dishes aren't coming out dry. All right. So as you could see right here, this technician is using the SmartHQ service app to explain this same exact situation to his customer. And the customer is convinced that obviously the reason why the dishes came out wet is because she selected the express cycle. But at this point, you have the ability, my friends, to be able to tell your customer, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, there's nothing wrong with your unit. Everything's working to perfection. Let me show you right here. You show them the data. And then you explain to them, right? But let me show you how we can prevent that from ever happening again. You educate them, and they will love you for that, okay? Because you don't have to fix anything. There was no problem to begin with. The only reason why the dishes came out wet is because the customer selected the express cycle, okay? Now, needless to say, what this is going to do for you is not only help you resolve that no defect found case, but it's also going to prevent unnecessary future visits. And on average, my friends, it is costing you and your business about $107 to put a technician in that customer's home, okay? That number, we didn't just arbitrarily come up with it. We actually did some research based on the cost of fuel, vehicle maintenance, salary, all of that good stuff. It is costing you about $107 to put a technician in your customer's home. So if you can eliminate those unnecessary second or third visits, right, you can become more efficient and dramatically lower the cost of operating your business. This will in turn make you much, much more profitable. And that is the goal of the SmartHQ service app, to make you more profitable. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and do a side-by-side view and connect our mobile device to the appliance. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put myself in the upper corner here. All right. And we're going to open the app by simply clicking on the SmartHQ service application. It's going to take a few seconds to load. And as it is doing that, let's take a look over here. I'm going to explain what's happening. Right now, the mobile device is connecting to the Bluetooth module. It's communicating, and it is extracting all of the information from the dishwasher. Okay, so in other words, if the dishwasher has the need for a firmware update, you're going to know that right from the dashboard screen. If there's an alert, for example, like a fault code, you will know that right then and there. And this is great because instead of having to memorize the key code sequence for every machine to get into the diagnostic mode, you simply have to connect your mobile device and all of the information will be available to you right then and there. All right, so let's give it a couple seconds, and here is the dashboard. Now, if you notice the first thing all the way at the top, you see the model and serial number. So all the information that's going to be pulled up here is related only to this product, right? Specifically to this product, which is exactly what you wanted to do. We see that there are no firmware updates needed for this appliance, and that makes sense because I actually just updated the firmware a few days ago. There are no fault codes, so in theory, there's no error codes, no problems with this unit. Okay, but we're still going to demonstrate how to operate all of the components to ensure that everything is working to perfection. So I just wanted to show that to you real quick, just to give you a brief overview of how the connectivity takes place. Because in case you're wondering if it's difficult, if it requires a lot of knowledge on how to get in, no, you just simply open the app, it connects automatically, and boom, you are ready to rock and roll. All right, my friends. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about what we need for proper drying. All right, so we need two things: we need heat and we need airflow. I think most of you already knew that out there, but I'm just emphasizing it. And of course, using the SmartHQ service app, we will be able to activate both the heating element and the door fan. Okay, that's what's going to cause, that's what's going to give us heat and airflow. But in addition to that, what I'm also going to demonstrate is how to interpret the data that comes from the watch box, because this is a very important feature on SmartHQ service that allows you to monitor the performance of other components, which may have an effect on the dishwasher's performance overall. Okay, so the components are going to be the diverter, the thermistor, turbidity sensor. Some of you might be asking, what is a turbidity sensor? I will explain in detail what that is. The pressure sensor. Okay, we actually have a water pressure sensor that's going to output a frequency based on how much water is in there. So I will explain that to you in detail. So let's go ahead and go right to business here. We're going to do the side-by-side demonstration. Now, to get into the Operate Loads menu, what we need to do is click the button labeled Next at the bottom. And in here, you're going to see Operate Loads. So we're going to click on that. And now, before we can do anything, we need to enter service mode. So we do that by pressing this little button down here, boop, and your screen will turn red. Now this mobile device, this iPad right here, is actually my remote control for the dishwasher. And this is absolutely fantastic because the second your customer sees you, controlling their dishwasher with a mobile device, with a remote control, for lack of a better word, they go bananas. They just, I've seen many customers that just, they're wowed by this. They're actually wondering if they can get this app themselves, but of course they can't because they're not servicers, right? Only you are. Now, once you once you open up the Operate Loads menu over here, you will be able to activate all of these components that you see on the screen right here. The water heater, the door fan, all that good stuff. So again, the components that we want to focus on right now are going to be the water heater and the door fan. And of course, to demonstrate that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of water in the unit, and then I'm going to sort of splash it onto the heater right after it's been running for a little while to see if it actually did get hot. Okay, so to do that, I just need to close the door real quick. So let's go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to press the water valve test button, and water will begin to enter the machine. Okay, now don't worry if you can't see what's going on in there right now. I promise you later on we're going to put a clear cover and you will be able to see water entering the unit. For now, we'll just run it like this. And this test is going to take approximately 60 seconds. Okay, so right now water is entering the machine. And one of the things that I want to explain to you in the watch box feature, let's open that up, is that you can view the water pressure frequency value. And what I want to tell you just in general, right? As the water enters the machine, that frequency value is going to begin to drop, okay? And it's going to end up at somewhere between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz. That is what you want to see when you have, for a typical fill, right? When the machine is full of water. Now, I didn't just come up with those numbers out of thin air. They're actually right here on your application. It says expected pressure sensor readings for a typical fill, again, between 40.77 and 40.44. And we have about 40.49, so we're golden, right? The unit is filled and it has water. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, now that I know that I have water in there, is I'm going to activate my heater. So to do that, simply press the heater test button, the water heater test button up there, and you can hear the relays click, and the heater is running, okay? Now, again, we can't see it, and it's not going to glow red. It's not like an oven that you can see it glowing, okay? This is just going to get extremely hot to the point that if you touch it, you can burn yourself. So we're going to let it run for maybe about 30 seconds or so it gets nice and toasty. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door, splash a little bit of water onto it, and we'll see if it actually sizzles. Okay, if we have smoke and sizzling going on, that means the heater is working. Okay, this beats, of course, having to take out your multimeter, measure resistance or voltage from the main PCB. You eliminate all that by simply running the heater right from the app. Okay, so about 40 seconds have gone by. Let's go ahead and turn it off and open the door. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of lean over here and splash some water. And there it is. I could see the smoke coming out. This heater is hot. Do not touch it with your bare fingers because you will burn yourself. Okay. So my friends, that is the easiest way that you can test your heater. Again, this is, if I were you, this is the way I would do it in the field. Unfortunately, when I was doing service, I didn't have this application. You know, it wasn't available back then, but now it's available to you. Okay. All right, my friends. The next test that I want to conduct is, of course, we talked about airflow required, right? So we're going to test the door fan, and let me just put the door fan in camera view. Right there. Okay, you can see it right there, the little red guy over there. Okay, perfect. Now, unfortunately, we can't really show you the inside, right, of the motor spinning, things like that. So the best way I can do it is I'm going to take my little microphone and just put it right next to it, and you're going to hear the fan go on when I turn the door fan on. So we're going to press door fan. And there is the sound. You should be hearing the door fan running. And then we're going to stop it. Okay, it stopped. We're going to turn it back on again just for sanity purposes. There is our sanity check. It is indeed functioning, and we're going to turn it off. All right, and there you have it, my friends. I just wanted to show you very quickly how to activate that door fan. Of course, when you're in the field, you can just sort of place your hand there. You can also hear it, right? You'll be able to hear the door fan running, and that is an indication that it's functioning. If it's not working, then of course you may need to replace it. Okay, but again, with SmartHQ service, you can test it very, very easily. All right, one more thing about the application, okay? I want to mention this early in the presentation because I want you to keep this in mind, my friends. Having SmartHQ service with you, all right, having this app with you is like having a GE technical support agent with you at all times. And the reason for that is because there are a number of instructions here that are given to you, a number of almost like heads up, right? Make sure you do this, make sure you do that, so that it keeps reminding you of safe practices, right? For example, one of the things we want to do is make sure that we don't leave any water left, inside of the cavity before we leave that customer's home. So SmartHQ service here tells you, important, please drain all the water before leaving, right? It's just a reminder to tell you, hey, don't forget, drain the water. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and we're going to actually show you with the camera view right there how the water exits the machine when we press that drain pump button test, right? So let's go ahead and do it. All right, and there's the drain pump running, and you can see the water. If you look all the way at the bottom there, you're going to start to see it sort of just disappear into the wilderness. It's actually going into the sink, to the pipes, and it's going bye-bye. Yep, there it is. It's gone. Going, gone. All right. So we activated the drain pump. The machine is pretty empty. We're going to turn it off. But I want to verify that my drain pump actually pulled out all of the water. And to do that, I can look at my water pressure frequency value. Let's go to the watch box. Let's go look at the water pressure frequency value. And yes, it is 44.4 zero 0.04 hertz. And if you look at SmartHQ service, let's close that up, where it says expected pressure sensor readings when it's dry, in other words, there's no water inside, it's somewhere between 43.94 and 44.27. Our value is 44.05, so we are golden. We have no water in the machine, and SmartHQ service knows that because the water pressure sensor is detecting that. Okay, so that's one component that I know for a fact is working 100%. And I wasn't even intending on testing it, but just as a byproduct of this test, we ended up finding out that it's working to perfection. All right, my friend, let's go ahead and move on. And now that we've tested the components individually, we can actually do a subsystem test of the heater, right? And what I mean by subsystem is this is going to check not just the heater, but also the drain pump, the water valve, the circulation pump, the diverter, right? The position of the diverter, you see it right there. And of course the heater, and we are going to monitor the change in temperature through the thermistor. So our temperature value will be shown there. The goal here is for us to be able to start at a temperature value. In this case, in this example, we started at 80 degrees. And after 8 minutes or so, we should see a significant rise in temperature. In this case, about 21 degrees. And that's precisely what I'm going to do right here. We're going to show you how to activate this test so that we can test to see if our heater is working, but not just the heater, the entire subsystem that allows the water to get hot. Okay, now to do that, what I want to do is actually place a clear door cover in front of this door. So I promised you that I was going to show you the guts working of the dishwasher. And by the way, if you don't have this clear door cover, make sure that you get it. I will give you the part number in a little bit, but for now, let's go ahead and run the test. So we are now in operate loads, and what we need to do is we need to get out of here and go to diagnostic tests. So all we're going to do is hit the back key and see the button that says move to diagnostic tests, press it. And now we can select the heater test. So at this point, we are in the heater subsystem test mode. And if we hit the start key, the first thing that is going to run is the drain pump, then followed by a water fill. And the reason why the drain pump runs first, and you're going to see this in all the tests we're going to show you, is because SmartHQ service is truly smart, right? It's make sure that in case you forgot to drain the water, well, it's going to do it for you anyway, all right? Just in the event that, your mind slipped and you forgot to drain it. So let's go ahead and hit the start key and see what happens. So we hit start. First thing I should hear is that drain pump running. Yep, there it is. It's trying to empty out the water, but of course there really is no water. And we can verify that again by looking at the water pressure frequency value. It's pretty high up there. It's 44, so that means there's no water left in the dishwasher cavity. Now, that drain pump is going to continue to run for, again, approximately 60 seconds or so. And then after that, it is going to automatically transition over to the next step in the process, which is activating the water valve. What is nice about this is that this is an automated system. So you can actually use this as a post-repair functionality verification test. Once you're done, for example, if you had to replace a heater or any component, on the dishwasher, you can run this test. This is going to run in the background, and while this is running, you can put away your tools, explain to your customer, things like, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, make sure that you load the dishes correctly, make sure that you use rinse aid, the proper detergent amount, all of that good stuff. Okay, so it gives you that time to, again, for the most part, clean your area, right? One of the things you want to do is leave the customer's home looking good, or even better than how you found it, right? Just make sure you clean up all your debris, everything else. All right, so that being said, the water valve is running right now, and it's going to run for about 60 seconds. Again, let me go ahead and open up the watch box just to show you that water pressure frequency value. And you can see that it is dropping ever so slightly, and eventually it is going to drop to about 40 point something hertz, indicating that we have the cavity is full of water, right? The necessary water that we need for this test. So again, very important that you understand that, my friends. Let's see over here. Something else that you're looking at right here. I think everybody knows what the temperature is, right? That's your thermistor. But the parameter below, okay, turbidity, right? The turbidity value, it's showing 671. So I know there was a time I didn't know what a turbidity sensor was or what turbidity meant. Okay, so I want to go ahead and explain that to you. So I will do that in a second, but first let's take a look at what's happening here. Okay, we're now at the third step of the process, which is the circulation pump has turned on, and we can actually see that water is coming out of the lower spray arm. All right. Now, what's nice about SmartHQ service is that in the status column, you're going to see the diverter position is showing that water is coming out of the lower spray arm. But not only that, it's also showing you the direction in which it is spinning. And in this case, it's clockwise. So that is amazing. That's a beautiful thing. Now, let's take a look at the water heater status. It is on, and let's take a look at our temperature value. Okay, now it shows that our temperature value at 30 seconds, all right, we'll call it about 30 seconds, is somewhere at about 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Our initial value read 45 degrees, but I think that's because the water that came in was really cold. I didn't prime the water lines. But let's just take this initial value, 77 degrees, and we're going to look back maybe about 5-6 minutes from now. And what I'm expecting to see is that value to go from 77 to somewhere between 95 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, I want to see that again in about, let's say, 6 to 7 minutes, right? So we're going to circle back to that. But again, I want to just mention to you the fact that water is coming out of the lower spray arm, and the diverter position is being read by SmartHQ service. Once again, you can open up your watch box and you can actually see that right there as well, the diverter position. It also should show lower spray system clockwise, okay? So I wanted to really emphasize this because I think the more you understand about that watch box, the more powerful you will be, right? The better at diagnosing units you will become. And that of course, is going to make you work much faster. All right, that being said, my friends, I did mention that I want to explain to you what the turbidity sensor is and does. So let me go ahead and transition over to this slide right here, where we have a picture of the turbidity sensor. That's exactly what it's going to look like in case you ever needed to replace it. And basically what it does is it measures the soil levels in the water, okay? So for example, if you have relatively clean water, such as the case that we have right now, okay, if we go back here, this is completely clean water. There are no soil dishes inside right now. You will have low turbidity. But as the water gets dirty, right, because there's, again, pasta sauce and grease on your dishes, the turbidity will be high, and that is precisely what that sensor is trying to detect. So a value between 0 and 1,000 means relatively clean water. 1,000 to 3,000 is dirty water, and 3,000 to 4,000 is extremely dirty water. And if we look at the real-time value right now of our turbidity sensor, it is 259, and that means that we have relatively clean water. All right, so this sensor is working to perfection. And incidentally, in case you're wondering, the way that it works is that one of the posts of the or one side of the turbidity sensor has a photodiode that emits light to the other side, and the other side has a receiver. And of course, if the water is clear, just like here, the light is going to be able to pass through very easily. But if the water is dirty, the light will not be able to shine through. All right, that's going to almost make like a wall between these two posts. And of course, that's going to be read as high turbidity. So that's essentially how it works. Now, the turbidity sensor is also there not just to measure the soil levels for fun. It's actually going to save energy and time by eliminating unnecessary rinse cycles. So in other words, once it reads relatively clean water, then it says, okay, the dishes should be clean as well. Let me go ahead and stop the cycle. If your sensor fails, if the turbidity sensor fails, the cycle time will 100% be extended. I promise you that. So in the event that you have a customer that's complaining about the dishwasher cycles, taking an excessively long amount of time to finish, or if they say, hey, you know what, before, 6 months ago, the cycle would finish in 1 hour and a half. Now it's taking 2 hours and, 3 hours, whatever. It could be a bad turbidity sensor. And with SmartHQ service, you can very easily test it just like you saw right now. All right. All right, my friends. Also inside the turbidity sensor, you do have the thermistor. Okay, so that temperature sensor, that thermistor is right inside of the housing of that turbidity sensor. So guess what? If you need to replace your thermistor, you are replacing your entire turbidity sensor and vice versa. Now, if you want to measure the resistance on the thermistor, you can do that very easily by putting your multimeter across pins 11 and pins 8 on main PCB connector J806. And the reading value, the resistance value you're expecting is about 10 kilo ohms at 75 degrees Fahrenheit or room temperature, okay? And my friends, the reason I mentioned this and why I showed you that schematic diagram there is because I didn't just come up with these values out of the thin air, okay? I actually found all this information right on the SmartHQ service app. And that's why I mentioned to you that having SmartHQ service with you is like having a technical support agent by your side at all times. Lots of useful information in there that you can find, and it will really make a difference in the field when you're trying to resolve these cases. All right. So that being said, let's go back to our friend over here and see where we are at. So again, right now we see that the lower spray arm system is working. So lower spray arm system clockwise. But more importantly, what I'm concerned with is the temperature value, okay? So as the water is being splashed everywhere inside of that dishwasher cavity, it is making contact with that heater. And if the heater is hot, obviously the water temperature will rise as well. Now I can see that after about 6 minutes, my water temperature is at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So we started what, 70, I forgot what it was, 73, 75 degrees, somewhere like that. So indeed, that heater is working because the temperature has gone up significantly, okay? If it wasn't working, guess what? That temperature would have remained the same, and then we know that the heater's not working. But because we can see the number rose by a significant amount, we are confident that that heating element is indeed working 100%, right? So again, my friends, while this is still running, I want to just quickly mention for those of you that may have just joined us, we do have a website, and that is smarthqservice.com. You can also reach us at 502-714-2029, and that is where you can contact us to place an order, or if you have any questions just in general about the application, we'll be happy to speak with you. And of course, our website has much more detailed information, and this video that you're watching right now will actually be on demand available later on our website, smarthqservice.com. And also we have a YouTube channel, right? Just go to YouTube and type in SmartHQ Service, and you will find this video and many, many others. All right, so I think we're pretty much toward the end of the test over here. We're at about almost 8 minutes into the test. And we can see that obviously the water has gotten very, very hot, right? It's the temperature has gone up significantly. So I think at this point we can end the test, and we'll simply do that by pressing the drain and finish key. All right, we're not going to let it run the full 11 minutes like it says up here. We're going to go ahead and drain the water. All right, my friends. So in a nutshell, that is the dishes coming out wet, or the dish is not drying. Those were the tests that I wanted to demonstrate, and now we're going to move on to the next test. But before we do that, the next topic, I promised that I was going to share the part number for that clear plastic door cover. So here it is. Get your cell phones out, get your pencils and pens and paper out. The part number is WX05X20002, and this clear plastic door is available, and it does work for dishwashers that were manufactured from 2012 and up. All right, so make sure you have this with you. This is an incredibly useful tool because it will allow you to see what's going on inside, and also your customer might want to, kind of take a peek at what happens inside their dishwasher. Okay, all right, my friends, let's go ahead and quickly move on to the next topic, which is the dishes coming out dirty. Now, first thing I want to mention is that for optimum cleaning performance, you do have to be able to divert water properly to every area of the dishwasher. You might get cases where your customer is stating that the dishes on the bottom rack are coming out clean, but the ones on the top are not. And of course, this could be related to the customer simply selecting lower rack only. But in the event that they've selected, to wash the entire thing, it could be a diverter issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the SmartHQ service app to show you how to test that. All right, we're going to check the circulation pump and make sure that water can come out of every spray arm, and of course the silverware nozzle. We're also going to test the detergent dispenser in operate loads. But in addition to that, we're going to show you, we're going to continue to show the watch box feature. All right, so let's go ahead and quickly move to that test. And to do that, we're going to simply exit out of the heater test. We're going to move back to operate loads. So move to operate loads over here, and then open up operate loads. All right. So what's going to happen here is we're going to be able to activate the components. But before I show you this, let me just get out of here for a second. Let me exit service mode and show you one of the areas where I found some of the information that you saw regarding the turbidity sensor. Okay, in case you're wondering, hey, where can I find this? In case I want to learn about it more. Well, when you go to the SmartHQ service app and it has all these different options, there's an option called appliance literature. And right here, okay, where you look at, where you see turbidity information, if you click on that, that's where I got those values from. That's 0 to 1,000 for relatively clean water. I literally cut and pasted this information and put it on the slide because I wanted to share with you how simple it is to find this information on SmartHQ service. Okay, so here's where you would find that. Also, in the event that you do have a fault code on your dishwasher or any other product for that matter, SmartHQ service has this F code mini manual section that will pull up pretty much every single fault code in the dishwasher in this case, and it will give you a brief explanation of what the fault code means and how to fix it. So again, without having to call technical support, you have all this information right at your fingertips. All right, my friends, I wanted to just quickly transition to that, but now let's go ahead and move back to operate loads. We'll enter service mode again, and let's go ahead and activate that circulation pump that we talked about. Now, again, before we do that, we need to fill the cavity with water. So the first thing I need to do is turn on the water valve test. So there it is. I heard the relays click and water is entering the dishwasher. Now, unfortunately, the door got pretty foggy because of the hot water in there. So you're not going to be able to see the water coming in, but in a little bit, you're going to be able to see some movement down there, hopefully, which of course is indicative of water being inside of the dishwasher cavity. So again, this feature, this water valve test, is going to run for approximately 60 seconds, and we can find out if there's water coming in, right? In the event that maybe you're skeptical, maybe you don't believe because you can't see it, well, let's go ahead and go to the water pressure frequency value, and we can see that it has dropped significantly, okay? Again, it should end up somewhere between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz, and that would be an indication that we have water inside the dishwasher cavity. And of course, we show 40.48, so I'm convinced we have water in there, all right? And I think now you can see the movement down there as well. All right, so the next thing that we will do once the water valve stops, we will activate the circulation pump. And the first one that I want to do is activate the lower spray arm. Okay, now one thing before I hit that button, I want you to read this with me. It says right here, important, please allow approximately 1 minute for the correct position of the diverter. So I'm going to explain to you in a second how this diverter system works. But basically, this is telling you that if I press the lower on button, don't immediately expect it to go to the lower spray arm. It takes about a minute to reach its home position. So as we can see right now, water is coming out of the silverware nozzle, but it stopped. And now it's going to try again until it comes out of the lower spray arm. So we can see that, boom, yep, right there it is. Now water is coming out of the lower spray arm, which is precisely what I selected, right? And again, because the system is it's a mechanical system, it does take, it could take up to a minute. But as we just saw, it didn't even take 10 seconds. It was very, very fast. And I can further verify that my main board knows where the water's coming from by going to the watch box and looking at the diverter position. And there it is. I can see that it's coming out of the lower spray system, and it is turning clockwise, right? And even, again, it even gives you the direction. So that's amazing. All right, that being said, we're going to go ahead and activate now the upper spray arm by pressing the upper on button. So I'm going to press that. And one more time, my friends, it could take up to a minute from the time I press that key for the water to come out of the upper spray arm. All right, so still coming out of the lower spray arm because the diverter is trying to shift positions, and it will eventually come out of the upper spray arm. So let's see what happens here. And there it is. Okay, now we can see that water is coming out of the upper spray arm. And one more time, our watch box tells us upper spray system. So right then and there, you can see that everything is working to perfection. So this is a nice test to run in the event, like I said, your customer's saying that the dishes on the bottom rack are coming out clean, but the ones on the top are dirty, or vice versa. We can test it right here. Now, again, this is a manual test, so I'm going to go ahead and shift positions one more time to silverware. So now the water is going to come out of the silverware nozzle below. But what you're doing here is you're essentially testing the functionality of not only the circulation pump, but of that diverter, okay? Its ability to be able to channel water throughout the cavity at different parts of it. So we can see water's coming out of the silverware nozzle. And again, Watchbox tells us that it is coming out of that nozzle. So we're all set. This is working properly. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. And of course, a little bit later on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the circulation test. It's called the circulation test, and you can see it right here. This is another subsystem that allows you to verify the functionality of not only the circulation pump, but also other components like the drain pump, water valve, and the diverter. And I will explain to you how the diverter operates in a second, okay? So going back to this view over here, we're going to move to diagnostic mode. But before we do that, okay, another very important component that you have to test here is your detergent dispenser or your dispenser cup, okay? If that thing doesn't pop open, of course, the detergent, whether it's powder or the little tablets or whatever you put in there, is not going to come out. Also, you need to have rinsate in the machine, so you need to make sure that that's working too. If those two aren't working, you could compromise not only your drying performance, but your cleaning performance as well. All right, so let me go ahead and show you how to activate those components. We're going to just sort of scroll all the way to the bottom. You see where it says main cup dispenser. All right, this is going to be very, very fast, my friends. So keep your eyes open. I'm going to press the key, and that dispenser is going to open. There it is. You saw how fast that was? Instant, okay? So if you wanted to test that the old-fashioned, the traditional way, you would maybe run a cycle and wait about 10 to 15 minutes. That's around the time that that dispenser will open up. But nobody has 10 to 15 minutes, okay? I only have 1 minute, so I was able to do this in literally seconds. So this is the most effective way to do it. In fact, I'm going to show you again because it is so much fun. We're going to close it and press it again. Main cup dispenser. There it is. Boom, right there. All right, my friends, a lot of fun. I could do this all day, all right, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you that if you were to press that on button that says 15 seconds, all right, what's going to happen is the rinsate dispenser will begin to drip from the bottom, right, a little bit, indicating that, of course, it's working properly. And, of course, there has to be a little bit of rinsate in there, right? It's not going to just drip rinsate if there's nothing in there. You have to make sure you have rinsate. But you let it run for about 15 seconds, you'll see the rinsate coming down, and that's an indication that that is working properly as well. All right. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and quickly move back to the diagnostic test so we can run that that circulate test. So we're going to press circulate test, and we are going to run the test now. Now, before we do that, okay, a couple things that I want to mention to you before is, again, SmartHQ service is very intuitive, very intelligent. It will give you instructions before you start just pushing buttons. And the first thing that it says is step number 1, manual step. Make sure that the door is closed, all right, which in this case, even though the door is open, but we have the clear door cover, so theoretically the door is closed. It also tells you make sure the pressure sensor reads between 44.27 and 43.94 hertz. Again, it's alerting you that you have to start this test with a completely empty dishwasher. And I'm talking about water-wise, right? So if we look at our value over here in the watch box, we can see, no, we don't have an empty dishwasher cavity. We have water in there because my water pressure frequency is low. So obviously I would have to activate the drain pump, right? That's what it's telling you. Now, fortunately, all right, if you're a knucklehead like me and you forget to drain the water, what SmartHQ service is going to do, it is going to activate it for you. And you can see right here, the first step in the process is the drain pump will run. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit the start key, and we will hear in a second the drain pump running. There it is. There's a relays, and I can hear the water coming down the sink, whatever little bit of water was left behind. And of course, that's telling me that the drain pump is working. And if I look at my frequency, okay, this is how I'm going to verify that water is exiting the machine. Is the water pressure value should start to go up, and it should end at about 44 point something, right? 44 hertz. And it actually tells you right here, make sure the door is closed, and reads between 44.27, 44.93 hertz, and that's where we ended up. That means we completely took all the water that was in there. So in fact, there was water in there, and then as the water exited the cavity, the frequency went up. All right, so now we have an empty tub. The reason for this is, again, if there's water in there and you just simply activate the water valve, well, guess what's going to happen? It's going to spill all over your customers' floors, and they're going to freak out, and you're going to freak out. So to prevent you and your customer from freaking out, we are going to activate the drain pump first. All right, so again, it's been running for about a minute or so. Now that all the water's out, the water valve has been activated to refill the cavity, so we can run this test. And we can see that, of course, again, on the watch box feature, we can see the number beginning to drop from 44 down to somewhere between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but I just want you to keep reminding you of this, because the more you understand this, when you go out in the field, it's going to be just second nature, right? You're not even going to have to think. You just see the number, you're like, okay, there's no water in there, or there is water. Or if you see water in there and the value doesn't coincide, there's a problem with your water pressure sensor. Okay, that's why it's important for you to understand and be able to interpret this watch box information. Okay, let's go ahead and put that away for a second. And what's going to happen is, after about 60 seconds of the water valve being on, the circulation pump will run. But now it's going to run automatically. Okay, first the water is going to come out of the lower spray arm. And again, that is precisely what step number 5 tells us. NewFi, that's what SmartHQ service used to be called, all right, requests for the lower spray arm to spin in the clockwise direction. That's what this is saying. And if we further look in our watch box, it is saying the lower spray arm system is working. So again, everything is working beautifully right now. Everything is coinciding. But of course, if it wasn't, you would know where the problem is at, okay? What's going to happen next is the upper spray arm is going to turn on. So water is going to come out of the upper spray arm. And finally, it's going to come out of the silverware blast area. All right, my friends, while this is happening, I want to go ahead and quickly show you how our diverter system works. So this is the diverter on newer dishwashers. Okay, it's a little different from what you've seen before, and it is an active 4-port driver. And the theory of operation is that it will switch positions when the circulation pump motor runs. So as the circulation pump motor runs, and then when it shuts off and powers back up, the diverter will begin to rotate 1/8 of a revolution. Okay. So the diverter position is going to be held in place by the water pressure that is provided by the circulation pump. And if we were to slice this sort of in half and look inside, we can see that that disc right there is sitting right now between, or halfway between, 2 ports. So right now the circulation pump would be in the off position. Now, when the circulation pump runs and water is shooting through the unit, that disc is going to rotate counterclockwise 1/8 of a revolution and allow water to come out of one of the holes right there. Right now, when the circulation pump stops, the disc will once again fall, but rotate again counterclockwise another 1/8 of a revolution, and now it's going to prevent the water from coming out. What this does is it provides a really, really good seal to the sump, the motor, and conduit adapter, which helps prevent leaks. So that's what this is intended to do. That's why this design was invented. And of course, the way that the main PCB knows which position that diverter is in is through the feedback signal that comes from the internal read switches. All right. So again, my friends, a very intelligent system. It's going to sort of rotate until it finds its home position. And the feedback is always going to go to the main board. So the main board will always know what position it's in. So again, that's why I wanted to show you in the watch box feature that you can actually see if where the water is coming from coincides with what you're seeing. So let me go ahead and go back to this view right here. And we can see water is coming out of the upper spray arm. So let's go ahead and open up the watch box. And the diverter position indeed is showing upper spray system. So right then and there, we have confirmed that the diverter is working properly, but not only that, the main board is able to communicate with it, and it knows for a fact that water is indeed coming out of the upper spray system. Okay. Sometimes we underestimate the importance of this, my friends, but this is really truly amazing technology. This is the way that this gives you the information, the data. It is completely going to change the way that you do service out there in the field. All right, so the upper spray arm is running. The next thing, my friends, that's going to run is, of course, the silverware blast. So water is going to come out of there. So while we're waiting for that to happen, I just want to quickly mention to you, again, our website. This is our contact information, my friends. We're almost through with the presentation for today. So smarthqservice.com, that's where you can reach us. You can also call us at 502-714-2029. And if you need support, you can reach us also through email at smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com. Our physical address, in case you want to send us a postcard, is GE Appliance Park, AP5-2N-67 in sunny Louisville, Kentucky, 40225. Now, on our website, you're going to find information on how to place an order. You're also going to find a plethora of training videos, including this one that's going to show you step-by-step how to access and how to run every feature on the SmartHQ service application. There are many features related to many, many other products. You will also find customer testimonials from some of our customers that are currently using the SmartHQ service app. They will share with you their stories on how this has totally transformed their business. And of course, we have a very special message from our president and CEO, Mr. Kevin Nolan, who highly endorses this product. All right, so you can find all of that information on our website, my friends. All right, so let's go back here and see what's happening. So again, water is coming out of the silverware wash nozzle. We can see that clearly. And I think at this point, the test is complete. So I'm just going to go ahead and press the drain and finish key to sort of take us out of this test and end the test. All right. So again, my friends, very powerful tool. This circulate test was able to tell me that this dishwasher, for all intents and purposes, should be cleaning the dishes totally fine. Okay. So if the dishes aren't coming out clean at this point, it could be, again, related to how the customer is loading their dishwasher, not using rinse aid, using the wrong detergent, or too much of it, things like that. Right. So you'll be able to explain this to your customers. But at the very least, you know that the product is functioning to perfection. All right, moving on to our last topic, my friends, and that is going to be when the dishwasher is not draining. Okay. The first thing that I want you to keep in mind, my friends, okay, the first thing that you should be looking for is that filter. Please, 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 please clean it out for the customer in case they haven't done it. I know it may be kind of disgusting, but just run it underneath some hot water, scrub it a little bit. I can't tell you how many times I've been to customers' homes, the dishwasher is not draining, and the only problem is they've never cleaned that filter. They could have had the machine a year, 2 years, and they've never touched it, and they're wondering why the water is, why their dishwasher stinks, why the water doesn't drain. Well, it's, the filter is very important that you clean it. Also, while you're there, inspect the drain line. Okay, make sure that they have a high drain loop installed, because otherwise the water is going to back up and go back right into the dishwasher. And of course, you'll get that fault code that says the dishwasher cannot drain. You might also find that the customer has recently installed a garbage disposal. Okay, and in this case, you have to make sure that that discharge plug has been knocked out. But let me just give you just a little, just from my experience, just my 2 cents here. If you run into the situation, what I would do is advise the customer, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, your installer, whoever installed this garbage disposal, didn't properly knock out the discharge plug, please have them do it. Because if you try to do it, and I've seen this before, and I promise you that I will see this again, I've seen technicians go in there, with their flat blade screwdriver and give it a nice, whack, and they either break something else or they can't get that discharge plug out, and then they run into all sorts of headaches. So again, you could do it if you want to, but I'm just recommending have your customer reach out to the installer of that garbage disposal, let them take care of it. You just make sure that the dishwasher drains. So unplug it, put the hose down the sink, run the circulation pump using SmartHQ service, and then you can see the water exiting the dishwasher, and the customer has to call whoever installed that garbage disposal. Okay. Now, in addition to these quick tips and tricks, my friends, you may also run into a situation that your control board has a problem with it. And the reason I mention this is because SmartHQ Service has a plethora of videos, video training material that you can actually access, not just to show you how the unit functions. Okay, so you can see right here on my screen, we have information or videos on how the silverware washes, the dry boost, all of that stuff. But we also have on the SmartHQ Service app a video, I found it, that teaches you about that fuse on the control board that may be open, which will render both the drain pump and circulation pump completely useless. All right. And guess what? If you didn't know about this, my friends, you might be out there replacing, if the dishwasher is not draining, you might say, well, let me replace a drain pump. And you replace it and nothing happens. And then you're like, well, then what else could be wrong? You replace the main board and still nothing happens. So I want to go ahead and show you this video real quick to explain to you what this is all about. So let's go to the videotape.
To access the new main control with removable fuse, remove one 1/4 inch hex head screw, pull down on the front, and carefully pull the control out. To remove and check the fuse, needle nose pliers may be used to pull the fuse out of the receptacle on the control. Use caution when installing the fuse, as the terminals will bend easily. The fuse will open if a short or ground happen in either the circulation pump or drain pump. It can be checked with a simple continuity check across the fuse terminals. If it is found open, a resistance check to the drain motor will be needed. Approximately 27 ohms is the correct specification for drain pumps. In this video, a newer version of the harness was used. The current black drain pump wire is shown as blue. As a reminder to previous training and printed material, the circulation pump has internal components such as diode and rectifier, which make diagnosis near impossible. The result of complete diagnosis is, if the fuse is open and the drain pump resistance is not correct, replace the fuse and the drain pump. If the drain pump checks correctly, replace the fuse and the circulation pump.
Alrighty, my friends, so there you have it. That was the information. Very, very interesting, very informative, and very important that you understand that, okay? The fact that you replace your drain pump doesn't mean it's going to fix it in this case, right? It's because, as you saw in the video, a shorted drain pump or shorted circulation pump will cause that fuse to pop open. And then, of course, if you, let's say, you replace your drain pump and the fuse is open, you might say, okay, let me replace the main board. But if it was the circulation pump that was shorted, well, that's going to blow up the fuse again, and here you are back to square one. You're going to just start replacing unnecessary parts. So that's why it's important that you understand all of this information. And of course, this can be easily found on the SmartHQ service application, just like I showed you on the video. Okay. All right, my friends. So again, we talked about dirty dishes. We talked about the dishes not coming out dry again. So one last thought that I want to leave you with here, my friends, when it comes to the dishes not coming out clean, it's important that you advise your customer not to completely rinse the dishes, right? The dishwasher needs a little bit of soil in there. It needs a little bit of, basically the detergent needs something to chew on, right? So what I'm going to say is this: when it comes to dishwashers, my friends, a dirty dish is indeed a very healthy dish, okay? So keep those dishes dirty and just pop them in there. All right, my friends, unfortunately, that is all the information that I have for you today, but I want to thank you once again for watching. Please join us in the next YouTube live session next month. Please continue to be safe out there, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.